Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel. October 2nd, 2017.
Last night, a gunman opened fire on a large crowd at a country music concert in Las Vegas, Nevada. He brutally murdered more than 50 people and wounded hundreds more. It was an act of pure evil.
2:06 here on the great WRKO. Okay, 58 people murdered, over 515 now injured in the worst mass shooting in U.S. history. Stephen Paddock, the alleged gunman, committed suicide after, according now to what Las Vegas authorities are saying, was a premeditated attempt on his part to slaughter people at the Route 91 Harvest Country Music Festival. They say that he rented either a large suite or several connecting rooms. He then brought in an arsenal with him, at least over 10 rifles, almost unlimited amounts of ammunition. He installed a camera outside of the hotel door to let him know when the SWAT team was going to be coming. He then used a sort of hammer-like device to smash two windows, from which he then mowed down concert goers in the final act of the third night, the last night of this country music festival. 58 are now dead, confirmed dead. 515 plus are now injured. However, many of them are in very serious critical condition. Medical authorities believe that the death toll is going to rise significantly. We are now starting to get a trickle of who some of these victims are. The first shooting victims have now been identified. One of them is a nurse from Tennessee, Sonny Melton, 29 years of age. His wife, Heather, both of them work at the, hope I'm getting this correctly, the Henry County Medical Center in Tennessee. His wife is also a surgeon. They work at the same hospital. She says that her husband is a hero, that when the shooting broke out, people fell on the floor. They then began to run away in panic. He then shielded her from the bullets that were coming towards them. He put his body in front of her so that he would take the bullets and that her life would be spared. She says that it was her brave and selfless husband who saved her life. Quote, "He saved my life. He grabbed me and started running. He shielded me. I felt him get shot in the back. He then went down. I want everyone to know what a kind-hearted, loving man he was." Another victim that's coming in is a Canadian from Maple Ridge, British Columbia, 23 years of age, Jordan McKildoon, hope I'm pronouncing his last name correctly, was attending the festival, hoping to have a good time. Heather Goose of Spring Valley, Nevada, spread word of his death on Facebook. She said she wants everybody to know that she's fine, she's okay. However, she doesn't even know who Jordan was, but he was lying beside her, dead. She held him in her arms, and then obviously when she looked into his wallet, she ID'd him as Jordan McKildoon. She said, "I cannot believe that this just happened. He literally just died in my arms." McKildoon's parents said that he was a heavy-duty mechanic apprentice, that it was his dream to become a mechanic, and that his apprenticeship was almost over, and that he was looking forward to working full-time. Another victim is a student, Quentin Robbins, 20, of Henderson, Nevada. His aunt, Kelly Wells Sanders, says that the parents cannot speak, that they are so devastated and heartbroken that they just cannot talk to the media. She says, though, that she and the family and the friends all say that he was just a kind and loving soul, that everybody who met him loved him, that he just had a contagious laugh and smile, that he was just a really nice guy. They said he was just salt of the earth. He loved his family, and he also loved to coach his little baseball team, his little league baseball team. It was family, friends, and the little league baseball team, and obviously a little bit of country music. And so for just wanting to go to a country music concert, they were shot down dead. 617-266-6868 is the number. This man is an animal. He is beyond evil and depraved. For you to do this, you are one sick SOB. Listen now to President Trump break the news to the country that there has been a terrible massacre in Las Vegas. Roll it, Brittany.
Hundreds of our fellow citizens are now mourning the sudden loss of a loved one, a parent, a child, a brother or sister. We cannot fathom their pain. We cannot imagine their loss. To the families of the victims, we are praying for you, and we are here for you. And we ask God to help see you through this very dark period. Scripture teaches us the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. We seek comfort in those words, for we know that God lives in the hearts of those who grieve. To the wounded who are now recovering in hospitals, we are praying for your full and speedy recovery and pledge to you our support from this day forward. In memory of the fallen, I have directed that our great flag be flown at half-staff. I will be visiting Las Vegas on Wednesday to meet with law enforcement, first responders, and the families of the victims. In moments of tragedy and horror, America comes together as one, and it always has. We call upon the bonds that unite us, our faith, our family, and our shared values. We call upon the bonds of citizenship, the ties of community, and the comfort of our common humanity. Our unity cannot be shattered by evil. Our bonds cannot be broken by violence. And though we feel such great anger at the senseless murder of our fellow citizens, it is our love that defines us today.
Our thoughts and prayers go out to the victims and their family members. You know, Kuhner Country, I just want to say this. I think I need to say this. I'm looking at these images of people running in panic, in utter desperation, sheer fear and horror. And there's a gunman picking them off, shooting them, killing them, massacring them. And I see the blood and the yelling and the screaming and the bodies everywhere, lying on the ground, yelling in pain and horror and agony. Is this Las Vegas or is this Baghdad? Is this America or is this Libya? To see these images, let me be candid with you, it's like I'm not watching America. And when you start looking at these, this is now, we're not talking about 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever dead. We're now talking 58 dead, over 515 wounded. I mean, this was a massacre, a massive massacre, an absolute bloodbath. How long are we going to put up with this? I mean, all these people did was go to a freaking concert. They weren't hurting anybody. It was a Sunday night. Many of the cops had been working all week. They had Sunday off. They were off-duty police officers. They came in for a show. Many people were there. They're going to leave on Monday. They were just there for a nice weekend. And we are increasingly becoming like Europe. We're becoming, forgive me, but we're becoming like France and England and Germany and these other places where now these types of attacks are just becoming more and more and more common. And now you have ISIS claiming responsibility. Now, if ISIS is behind this, then I am telling you, it is time for Congress to have a declaration of war, no more pussyfooting around, and this time let us hammer them to oblivion. Let us give them a war that they will never forget. And if we're really serious then about defeating ISIS, they're in all 50 states. There are terror cells in all 50 states. We got to go into all 50 states and you round them up, every single one of them. And you close down the radical mosques and you shut down that border and you get a travel ban through that will put Americans safe once and for all. Either we're at war or we're not at war. Because I'll tell you this, ISIS is claiming responsibility. Now, we'll see if that's true. They claim he was a recent convert and a soldier of the Islamic State. If that's true, then, my friends, what you just saw now is a war crime. What you just saw now is an absolute atrocity. And it deserves and must have a response. There's no getting around that. Congress must then declare war and take all necessary measures to finally crush and smash and decapitate ISIS once and for all. Bury them. If the political left was behind this, and we're going to find out, we'll see, then they need to be held responsible. And to the family, they say they're shocked, they can't believe it, that this guy was not political, he wasn't religious, we don't know. That, you know what? I hope that's true. Because if it turns out that this guy was that this guy was like, unhinged, like his old man, that the elevator didn't go straight to the top, and you guys have been lying to us about this to the media, and nobody said or did anything, then there also should be a hell to pay for the family. Because if you've got somebody that's not all up there, you've got a duty to do something about it. But honestly, enough is enough. Enough is enough. And to the liberals and the Democrats, can you stop politicizing this? Can you stop it with the gun control? Can you stop it with the assault on the Second Amendment? Let's bury them and get the facts out before we try to grab people's guns. Can we just do that? Can we try to be at least semi-civil in this country? 617-266-6868 is the number. The acts of heroism that are now coming out are absolutely stunning. And I mentioned to you that nurse. But let me tell you some of the people now whose heroism goes above and beyond the call of duty. Now there are reports coming out of these off-duty and on-duty police officers, many of whom rushed to the scene. By the way, this needs to be said. The same police officers that Michael Bennett, that Black Lives Matter supporting lineman for the Seahawks, calls the racist Las Vegas PD. Well, the racist Las Vegas PD, the ones all these guys are kneeling in protest of, all these cops, they rushed to the scene. Some were already on the scene. And they literally stood up while everybody else was down. They stood up and they directed them to safety. And as they were directing them to safety, they were shielding them from the bullets. In fact, now there are reports coming out that police officers, one in particular, grabbed a woman in his arms and began to rush away to get her to safety and help, and he was shot in the back and killed. It's like 9/11. When everybody was running out, they were running into the burning buildings. When everybody was running out of the concert, they were running into the concert. Even if that meant losing their own life. 617-266-6868 is the number. Let me ask you this. What do you make of President Trump's response? And do you think this crisis will stop, this massacre, this tragedy? Will it finally stop the cop police bashing? 617-266-6868. All of your calls next. 225 here on the great WRKO. You can text us as always, 680-680. This is from 978. Jeff, Las Vegas is Trump's city, along with New York City, This was meant to affect him emotionally. An interesting point, 978. Jerry in Cape Cod, you're up next. Go ahead, Jerry.
Jeff, good afternoon.
Hi.
Thanks for taking the call.
My pleasure.
Kuhner Country is brilliant in their observations. Jeff, you know what? There's so much evidence that is strikingly strange here. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
One thing, why is the CIA chiming in on this now? Wouldn't that be the FBI that should be dealing with domestic issues?
Jerry, you know, I thought that was very strange as well with their statements about don't jump to conclusions about ISIS and and everything else. I'm like, why is the CIA getting involved?
That struck me. The other thing that strikes me, Jeff, from 1985 to 88, he worked for Lockheed Martin as an accountant. That's the only trace of him. But remember that now. His father, you mentioned his father, the FBI profiler said that he was always going to be armed and dangerous, that he was a psychopath, and that he was suicidal. Now, Jeff, the video that Brittany was talking about, I saw the video. The one thing that struck me was he had the P hat on and this sign, but he also had on a pink shirt that said NASA on it. Lockheed Martin and NASA are tied very tightly together, you know. A lot of guys that I know that worked for Lockheed ended up leaving and working as private contractors for NASA, and some of them eventually got jobs with NASA. So there's some significant link here, I believe. I mean, this is just a thought of mine. There's just something. Is he an asset of some type, Jeff?
Jerry, that's the thing, and thank you for that call. Look, there's something fishy. This does not pass the smell test. It just doesn't. And so the way the media is now trying to spin this, here's just some crazy guy who just snapped. 64 years of age. He just snapped. Like literally, that's what I don't know. He's retired. He's living 90 minutes out of Vegas. By the way, a known gambler. I'm not criticizing gambling. I'm just saying he goes to Vegas and often gambles. He's got an Asian girlfriend from Australia. His family lives in Florida. He lives in Las Vegas. Apparently he's got a hunting license, a fishing license. He was a licensed pilot. And he's living in a retirement community, Mesquite. And just all of a sudden, like the guy just goes nuts. And he just goes to the Mandalay Bay. And he gets apparently a couple rooms, connected rooms. And he loads up with over 10 guns. He stockpiles ammunition, and then just for the hell of it, starts gunning people down at a country music concert. And that's it. Like, really, that's it. ISIS claims responsibility. The FBI has come out and said there's no evidence for that. There is no connection to ISIS. Well, how do you know that so quickly? But they're already shooting down the ISIS connection. The left-wing connection, they're already trying to shoot that down. So they want us to believe it's just one guy who just woke up one morning, went down September 28th, took his girlfriend's ID, checked himself into the Mandalay Bay Hotel, loaded up on, I guess, semi-automatics, automatics, whatever, and got a ton of ammunition, blew out 2 windows, and said, hey, let's have a party. And just started mowing them down. And that's it. He just snapped. Like this. He just snapped. And I'm like, no, wait. Guys, no. Something is rotten in Denmark, as Shakespeare would say, or in this case, something is rotten in Las Vegas. Mike in Newton. Go ahead, Mike.
Jeff, you know, you got to turn over all possibilities here. Now, this may be a bizarre scenario. This guy might be not a gun advocate, but against guns. And he cracked up and he says, you know, that country and Western crowd are all pro-guns. Don't be surprised if it turns out this guy was absolutely against guns. He wanted to make a statement and be the man that was responsible to outlaw guns in America. How's that for a wacky scenario?
That's very interesting. Mike, I wouldn't rule it out.
He's a moonbat. I guarantee. I'm not saying. You watch. I guarantee this guy's anti-gun, and he's pulling up this atrocity to advocate for gun banning.
Mike, thank you for that call.
Thanks.
Well, look, what I want to know is this, okay? And this is what I'm going to look into after the show, and I'm going to look into it tonight. I want to know if this guy was an anti-Trump leftist. I'm just curious. Information's coming out. It appears he was a registered Democrat. Okay. Doesn't tell us very much so far. But it points me in certain directions. I want to know if this guy was an anti-Trump leftist. Because I look at the people that he targeted. Country music concert goers. Overwhelmingly patriotic. Frankly, overwhelmingly white. Overwhelmingly conservative. In other words, deplorables. I don't know now. I'm telling you, the Kuhner man is on the case. I smell something, and it doesn't smell good. Let's take it to Evan in the newsroom for the latest update. 2:37 here on the great WRKO. Okay, if any of you have missing loved ones, 866-535-5654. Call 1-866-535-5654. The current body count is now 58 confirmed dead, 515 injured. However, they expect the death toll to rise considerably. So it appears now that the gunman, Stephen Paddock, rained down bullets for 10 minutes consecutively from the 32nd floor. What is interesting is that now multiple witnesses have come out and said about 45 minutes before the massacre, the shooting took place. Brianna Hendricks is one of them. She was in Las Vegas celebrating her 21st birthday. She said that there was a lady, an Hispanic woman, and appears her boyfriend, about 5'5", 5'6", brown hair, that they were yelling and screaming that we're all going to blanking die. You're all about to blanking die. And that this really frightened and petrified people in the crowd. And they weren't sure whether this woman is just insane. If, in retrospect now, was this a warning? Or was she, in fact, in some ways, part of this? Or maybe she's just a crazy woman and has no connection. But to me, it's just interesting that you have another person that was there 45 minutes before, in a sense, almost predicting what was going to happen. Roll it, Brittany.
There was a lady who pushed her way forward into the concert venue into the first row, and she started messing with another lady and told us that we were all going to die tonight.
Do you know why she was saying that? I mean, was this after the shots were fired, or?
It was about 45 minutes before the shots were actually fired, but then she was escorted out by security.
How does that make you feel? I mean,
it makes me feel uncomfortable, especially coming here for my 21st birthday and not knowing if I'm safe, not even knowing if I'm safe going home tomorrow on an airplane. So,
how did she know? I mean, that woman. Now, look, she may be insane, okay? This may have no connection whatsoever. It could be a fluke. But, you know, I'm thinking, I don't know, man. Coincidence? So, A, how did she know? Was this a warning, or was she just taunting, gloating? Almost like, you know, ha-ha, you're all going to die. You're all going to die. You're all going to blank and die. In fact, the witness herself, and by the way, her mother, others, it's not just her. Many people have said, no, it's true. There was this Hispanic-looking woman with her boyfriend, and they kept saying, we're all going to die, we're all going to die, we're all going to die. Listen to her say, I'm not sure if this was a warning or if she was in cahoots with the gunman. Roll it, Brittany.
And how did you get out of the venue after this all happened?
We actually weren't there whenever the shooting had occurred. We had already left about maybe 10, 15 minutes before that. But we just barely made it back into our room whenever it started.
And I mean, were you thinking, oh my gosh, this woman told us that before we left?
Yeah, I thought it had a positive correlation to it. Like, obviously she was telling us that in either to tell us, to warn us, or to tell us that we were all going to die, and she was part of it.
Describe to me what this woman looked like.
Her and her boyfriend were both Hispanic. They were probably about shorter 5-footers, probably about 5'5", 5'6". They just look like everyday people.
This to me, I mean, look, either it's the most freakiest coincidence that I've ever heard of, or again, something does not pass the smell test. Let me throw one more log on the fire. What do you make of this woman, this alleged woman or the couple saying you're all going to die? And what do you make of the Democrats trying to politicize this by pushing for gun control? Does this sicken you? And is it about time we tell the libs enough is enough? 617-266-6868. The poll question of the day, after Las Vegas, is it time to have more gun control? That's what Elizabeth Warren wants, Seth Moulton, Ed Markey, Hillary Clinton. Are they right? If the answer is yes, in your view, text the letter A to 680-680. If the answer is no, absolutely not, text the letter B to 680-680. As always, you can vote online at WRKO.com. Poll question, as always, powered by Bill Kelly Financial Services. Brittany, what are the results thus far?
92% no, this is not the time for gun control, and 8% yes.
Are you an A or a B on this one?
Of course I'm a no. I'm a major Second Amendment rights advocate, and I just think that they always do this. The Democrats always do this, no matter what shooting it is, whether, one person picks up a gun and kills another, or if it's a mass shooting like this, they're always peddling gun control. So I'm not for it. There's no way that anyone was going to be able to stop what this man did, personally. I don't think so. The bad guys always get the guns, Jeff, no matter what. So you don't see people that are for the Second Amendment go out and do this, do mass shootings. They own guns, and it's just, I don't know. I have no words for this, honestly.
I know, it's very upsetting. No, I know. Honestly, it's one of the toughest shows I've ever had to do. I am literally powering through today's show. I'm heartbroken. I'm semi-depressed. I'm just really, it's just a very sad day. The despair and the sadness. Even my wife said I can't listen to today's show. My wife, Dr. Grace, who always listens to the show, says I can't take the bad news. I can't take it. My heart breaks for those families and the victims. 617-266-6868. Scott in New Hampshire. Go ahead, Scott.
Yes. Hey, Jeff. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Scott?
Well, we're all not doing good.
I know. Very sad day. It really is. Truly a sad day in America.
Very bad. I listened to an interview today with the shooter's brother.
Yes.
And he was saying how, the guy sent a walker to his 90-year-old mother, and the girlfriend baked cookies and sent it to her mom, and that's all great. But then he said that he actually moved his brother, the shooter, into a house, and it was just recent, and there was no sign of any guns, and this guy's saying he had no religious, problems or squabbles, no political, discrepancy. He was just like, I don't know how he could have done this and this and that. So it makes you wonder what was the motive behind all this. And there had to have been people helping him. Not one guy could have done this alone. And they just came out with that Hispanic lady that was in the crowd yelling, "You're all going to die." Something's going on here. And I hope they get to the bottom of it.
Scott, listen, thank you for that call. Look, let me be brutally honest with you, okay? Like I'm in the confessional. I don't believe the official version so far. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. No one is going to tell me that a 64-year-old retired guy living 90 minutes out of Las Vegas, who apparently went to Vegas often, everybody testifies to this, he was a gambler. Fine, I'm not critical. I'm just saying, just a fact. He's a gambler. Apparently, no known history of mental illness, no known criminal record, no known, religious motivation. It wasn't like he converted to Islam or something. And all of a sudden, you want me to believe just what the hell? He just snapped one day, just went nuts, just one day. And then he goes to the hotel on September 28th and loads up the room with guns and ammunition. Gets a connecting room or whatever now they're claiming, not just a large suite, but a connecting room. And then does this under the alias of his girlfriend. The ID is with the girlfriend. and then is so meticulous that even has a camera installed on the outside to let him know when SWAT is going to come in so he can then blow his own brains out and commit suicide. And then this guy with apparently no history of guns and he just mows down nearly 60 people over 515. And just because he just, I don't know, just had a bad day. He just snapped. I don't believe it. I don't. So either there were other people involved. Either he was an ISIS terrorist, he had converted to Islam or whatever, as ISIS claims. He's a crazy left-wing revolutionary an anti-Trump leftist who just said, to hell with it, I'm done, I'm going to shoot these deplorables. They're at a country music concert. I'm going to gun them down like dogs. Something. There is something there that we are not being told. And what? Hopefully we'll find out. Listen to the brother now. Roll it, Brittany.
He had a couple of guns, but they were all handgun legal. I mean, he might have had one long gun, but he had them in a safe, and he had no machine guns. I moved his house. I mean, there were no machine guns. Find out who he got the machine guns from. Where the hell did he get the machine guns? There's no political, there's no religious, there's no any of that stuff.
So look, I'm telling you, I snap. I have my days like you. I get upset. I just blow my top. I may yell at my kids too much. I may give somebody the middle finger on 95. Okay, I'm not kidding. I may just, whatever, go downstairs in my man cave and watch TV for 3-4 hours. That's how I snap. I don't, hey guys, let's load up on machine guns, go to the Mandalay Bay, and I'm going to massacre 500 people at a concert. I'm sorry, that's not how life works. Barbara in Rockland. Go ahead, Barbara.
Well, I just want to say that I think he was the scapegoat for the real gunman.
I'm just curious. Who do you think was the real gunman or gunmen?
That's what I'm hoping, that they'll find out who really did it. But I think that they used him, and they used him as their scapegoat. And this is why there was 2 rooms, because the room they shot from, they could easily escape into the other room and then leave the hotel unnoticed.
Barbara, thank you for that call. According to what the police are saying, just so that you know, when the gunfire began to erupt, they say that set off the alarm bells. And so when that set off the alarms, that's when the police knew exactly what room it was coming from, which was on the 32nd floor.
It also took over an hour for them to breach the room. From when the first 911 call came in, that there was an active shooter, and until they breached the room, it was over an hour.
Now, what does that tell you?
I don't know. That they had to figure out what room it was, where it was coming from. It takes time. I mean, the SWAT teams, Jeff, they come from all over. If there's something going on in the city here, I mean, you have SWAT guys coming from all different parts of the state to get to that place. It's not, just one police department. They come from everywhere. So, they have to all get there and figure out where it is. I mean, who knows really what happened, but it took over an hour to breach that room. And they wanted to make sure that all the SWAT, they knew that they were going to do the explosion, and they had to back up and all of that.
That's right. And when he had the camera, so he knew when SWAT was closing in on him.
And that's when he
and they say
killed
that's when he ate his gun and he killed himself.
Right.
Tom in Hampton. Go ahead, Tom.
Hi, Jeff. How are you?
Good. Well, I'm not really good, but I am good. Go ahead. I'm good.
What I think is what we need is 2 not bought and paid for journalists, Dinesh D'Souza and Cheryl Atkinson, to get to the bottom of this. It doesn't, like you say, pass the smell test. There's something fishy about this. How do we know that the CIA didn't come in there and assassinate him, and the left-wing media is controlling what goes out to the public?
See, Tom, what I find very bizarre is that the CIA has come out and issued a statement. Don't take my word for it. You can look it up. And they're claiming there was no ISIS connection. And I've never, in a domestic shooting, the CIA's never issued a statement. So I'm thinking, What the hell is the CIA doing getting involved? That's the FBI's jurisdiction. Now, to be fair, the FBI is saying there is no ISIS connection. Now, that also asks me to believe, well, how do you know so quickly? I mean, ISIS has claimed responsibility. You're shooting that down within, 3 hours, 4 hours? So they're so quick to knock down the ISIS angle. But to me, the big red flag is, honestly, it's the CIA. I mean, look it up. Don't take my word for it. Sandy Hook, Aurora, Colorado, Virginia Tech. I'm not talking, like a foreign terrorist attack on America. That's something else. This is, in theory, right? A domestic shooting. What's the CIA you're issuing what are you issuing a statement for? I'm telling you, we're going to find out more. Oh, believe me, we will find out a hell of a lot more. 2:56 here on the great WRKO. Bob in Hingham. You're up next. Go ahead, Bob.
Thank you, Mr. Kuhner. Real quick, I've seen it all at the age of 60, from hijackings in the 60s and 70s to terrorism using the simplest of tools in the 2000s. And we have to make up our minds whether or not we're going to run away, put our heads in the sands, or give up. Not me. Okay, I'm going to fight back. This country is worth fighting for. And as far as gun control, it's our only ace in the hole that prevents the far left from turning us into slaves. And that's how I feel.
Oh, you're completely right. I mean, look, I really don't even want to discuss gun control because I think it's so disgusting and inappropriate at this time what the left is doing. But look, Hitler went for the guns. Lenin went for the guns. Mao went for the guns. That's why our founding fathers had the Second Amendment, because an armed citizenry is a free citizenry. That's why every self-governing republic always says the citizens must be able to defend themselves. So once you take away the guns, you've got a defenseless population. You're at the mercy of the government. Let's go to Bob in Methuen. Go ahead, Bob.
Hi, Jeff. Thank you, Brittany, and thank you, Jeff, for letting me on.
My pleasure.
If the president had your ear now, I would, I've been thinking of this for a long time, that maybe could bring in the Texas Rangers into this, because they work under honor and only answer to him, and we'd probably get to the bottom of this a lot better. I had nothing bad about the FBI or the CIA, but I really think that Texas Rangers might be called for, because they're not afraid to say what it is.
Bob, look, I think you're onto something, and thank you for that call. The CIA and the FBI and the NSA have become so politicized, especially under Obama. I don't trust them. I'll be honest with you. I don't trust them. And so, to me, what's going to happen now, it's going to be up to a couple of good cops in Las Vegas who are into Stephen Paddock's home, and hopefully they will have the courage to tell the public what they really find and what they really see there. Otherwise, you're going to see the FBI, the CIA, the media try to suppress the truth. My friends, I promise, I got to go. We're going to have so much more for you tomorrow. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. Together, we're cleaning up the liberal bull.
The voice of Boston is you. 680 WRKO Boston, 93.7 WEEI HD2 Lawrence, Boston. It's 3 o'clock.